very much for talking to us. Obviously 2 years in the making. This is a huge project for you. Why did you decide that a prize like this was the best way to bring about the change that you want to create?
So the Earthshot prize, as you said, has been 2 years in the making. We very much felt that an optimistic prize to try and turn the narrative around the pessimism and the negativity around the climate was the best way forwards to try to find some solutions. So the Earthshot prize itself is really a way of elevating people's voices and solutions that may be out there that we've never heard of or haven't had the chance to scale up. So it's really the most prestigious global environmental prize you can imagine. And it is truly global. We've got a prize council that spans the entire globe. And we've got scientific experts and panels and people who are going to filter through a number of these solutions to try and really tackle some of Earth's greatest environmental challenges.
At a time, though, when the world is at this tipping point, as the scientists describe it, do we really need another prize? Is that going to bring about the change that we need?
We hope so. I mean, the idea being that we very much felt that what was needed and what was missing at the moment was very much a case of harnessing people's optimism and people's hope. There's been a lot of negativity and pessimism, and I think it's such a big scale topic that people themselves don't know, you know, if I recycle my plastic every single day, actually how much of a big difference am I making? And I think a lot of people out there want to see the next level. They want to see several levels go, because this is an ambitious prize. It's an ambitious target and topic we're dealing with, and we can make the difference if we really put our minds together and we come together and harness the human ingenuity and spirit of finding solutions.
You're certainly not the first member of the family to talk about this subject. You've recently talked about the Duke of Edinburgh and the Prince of Wales and their commitment to the environment. How much have you spoken to them about this prize, and what was their reaction to what you're doing?
So obviously, as you all know, my grandfather was a bit of a trailblazer a long time ago and did a lot with the WWF in nature long before it was sort of fashionable or noticeable to do it. My father obviously been speaking about climate change for many, many years. And so I sort of feel there's a bit of a family history to sort of inherit in terms of the environment. But I think each generation passes on something crucial to the next one to follow on. And I feel that really for me to avoid getting into and helping the environment is a real mistake. And this is me kind of putting my stamp on what I can do in my position to really galvanise and increase the interest and tackle some of these issues to really drive a decade of change to repair the planet.
We've spoken before about how sometimes it's difficult to choose what subjects you decide to stick your head above the parapet about. Your father has been accused at times of being too political when it comes to this subject. How concerned are you that you might face the same criticism?
I think with all things in life, if you are willing to make a difference, you have to put yourself out there and you have to commit yourself and be determined and maybe go places that you might feel uncomfortable, other people might find uncomfortable. But really for me, the prize is about bringing people together. You know, it's a team prize. And if we can really harness everyone's ability to come together and tackle the Earth's biggest environmental problems, then I think the prize is the right way of doing it, because you're rewarding, you're incentivizing and you're encouraging. So you're bringing about hope, and we feel hope and optimism as part of this team is the only way we're going to actually progress.
So you're ready for anyone to challenge it or question it?
Of course, absolutely. I'm sure people will challenge it and question it, and the more debate about it we have, we welcome that. And like I said, this is a team prize, so if there are people out there who think they can do it better, they can help with this, then please come on board and we'd love that.
The fact that you're talking about trying to drive some kind of optimism within this sphere and within the debate, how much is that inspired by the conversations that you have with your own children about it? Because you look at the world and actually we are in a dire state and it is fairly depressing. Why do you think it's so important that we have that optimism, and how much do you try and bring that into the discussions at home?
I think, to be perfectly honest, I'm struggling to keep the optimism levels going with my own children. And that's really kind of like a an understanding moment where you kind of look at yourself and go, am I doing enough on this? Are we really at this stage in life where I can't be hugely optimistic and pleased that my children are getting so into nature? Because you kind of worry and dread that they're soon going to realise that we're in a very, very dangerous and difficult time in the environment. And that, as a parent, you feel like you're letting them down immediately. So having watched so many David Attenborough documentaries recently with my children. They absolutely love them. But the most recent one, the extinction one, actually, George and I had to turn it off. We got so sad about it halfway through. And he said to me, he said, I don't want to watch this anymore. Why has it come to this? And, he's 7 years old and he's asking me these questions already. He really feels it. And I think every 7-year-old out there can relate to that. So I really feel, from an emotional point of view as well, I think every parent, everyone wants to do the best for their children. And I think we have to have a decade of change, a decade of repairing the planet so that we can hand it on to the next generation and future generations and sustain the prosperity for their lives too.
The Earthshot Prize obviously spans 10 years. Your children will be teenagers by then. How do you think you will gauge whether it's been the success that you obviously hope it's going to be?
Well, we have set ourselves ambitious Earthshots each year. So we've got 5 Earthshots per year for 10 years. So that's basically tackling climate, nature, air, oceans and waste. And we, through a number of panels and experts, we all agreed that this was the key crux areas that we had to challenge. If we can find solutions, so we're looking roughly 50 solutions over the next 10 years that can really turn the tide and really change the way we deal and tackle with environmental challenges, then it would have been a success and it'd been worth it. But as with the moonshot landings, with JFK, when he had that vision to put a man on the moon, it was called the moonshot. We've adapted that to call it the Earthshot, to sort of harness that ingenuity idea. We very much hope that even if we can't necessarily change the world in 10 years' time just from the prize alone, what we do hope is, just like the moonshot landings, we can develop, where they developed CAT scanners, X-ray machines, breathing apparatus, stuff like that, I think has been really, really important to come out of that. So we hope that environmentally we can still produce some really big solutions, even if we can't necessarily ourselves, just as the prize, change everything in 10 years' time.
And just one final one, because I know that you've got to go, you're very busy. But I wanted to get your thoughts, because I actually asked your father, the Prince of Wales, about this at the end of lockdown. What do you think that the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us as a world about what we can do when we face a crisis that actually is a global issue?
I think, certainly for my generation and those below, I don't think we've ever faced anything like this. Obviously previous generations have gone through the world wars and times that were far tougher than what they are now. But we are going through a certain period of time where families are being restricted seeing each other, jobs are being lost. It's difficult for everybody. But the spirit of togetherness and the ability to fight back, I think, is one of the humans' kind of biggest elements. And I do think it's brought us closer together. I think we're all in a shared similar situation. If we can take that forwards into the environment and replicate that, we found over £190 billion worth to fix and help the recovery through COVID. We can do the same for the environment. It really isn't that difficult. And I went to Oxford and saw the vaccination attempts, and watching the cross-governmental, cross-country, international kind of collaborations coming together to find a vaccine for everyone. That was hugely inspiring, and it shows you if we want to do it, we can do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron.